So I purchased some items from Amazon. One was a window regulator switch set, so it will give you like lever actuated um, switches to run your windows up and down, and a couple of regulators that fit the Nissan D21. Anyway, this is how I put them in. I went and removed the interior door panel and skin. Checked all my parts there. And these 3 screws right here have to come out, and the new regulator will go in this position. There's a couple of bolts here that need to come out, and a couple here that release the window, and then it can come out. So I'll go ahead and start removing all of those, and then I can just rock this window back end out up first, and then out the outside of the window frame. Remove the 3 bolts. Some of these bolts you don't have to undo them all the way. They will slide on a like it's a slot. But once you get all of these out, then this whole assembly should come right out. I'm kind of trying to do this a bit in real time because I just want you to see how actually fast it is. I usually do a lot of cutting. This I'm doing very minimal cutting unless I needed to go off and do something. This is all fairly quick. No, this just kind of pulls out the bottom of this hole. And that's what it looks like. It looks just like the other one, and except now it's got grass all over it. Okay, so these are the areas where I'm going to have to put bolts in so that I can hang this stuff once I get it in there. So I'll just put this one on as it'll line up with one of the ones that's slotted. And this one here is also a slotted one. So I just kind of bend it in there and start shoving it in. It shouldn't be forced in. It's just a matter of finding the right angle and the right, puzzle. It's a puzzle. Just have to figure it out. Yep. And it's nice to have the speaker out of the hole because you can run your whole arm in there and pull things through and align things. Now I'm just going to finish putting the rest of the bolts in. This whole process, I think, took me about 30 minutes to get the door panel off, to get the old regulator out, and to put this one in, and to get it operational. The other side took, I think, even less time. I feel like this process is probably the same on most cars. I was actually surprised to see that the regulator is the same as what's already in there. It just has a motor attached to it. I get the rest of these bolts in, get them tightened up so nothing moves around. There is some adjustment, so you might have to loosen and push it forward or pull it back, just depending on how it rolls up and down once you get done. But for now, I'm just snugging them up. I'm dropping in a new piece of glass. I was actually able to find replacement glass for this truck, so I purchased those, and it's going right in. And I just have to line these bolts up, the original ones, and get them tightened down. I don't want to over tighten this before I know that it works well. little bit of adjustment was needed. And that stupid thing snapped off. I guess it's what happens when it's this old. A little shimmy, a little shake. And I'm just getting it tight enough. I'm not putting too much torque on these things. Just want to see if it holds and goes up and down smoothly. I'm using a 20-volt DeWalt battery pack to run the motor up and down. I'm only using it for a couple of seconds, and I know the motor will handle it for at least a little while. So as you can see, the switch was sticky or not engaging. I did have it one time where it went up and it wouldn't stop, so I had to just kind of like rock it a bunch to get it to go down again. And I don't really like that. I don't like it not working well. So I think I'm going to change up how it works. So I purchased this motor driver board, which is good for like 7 to 24 volts input, and it'll operate 7 to 24 volts on the output. And it does 2 different motors, so left window, right window. And then it gives you a little header here. Sort of hard to explain all of this, but it basically gives you 5 volts in, PWM, and then I believe the back 2 are the first motor, the front 2 are the second motor, and then ground. And since I'm not running any kind of a computer or PWM device, I'm just going to tie all 4 of these together and run 5 volts to it, and then ground. And then that'll leave me with the up button, down button on the left, and up button and the down button on the right. I hope all that makes sense. I'll kind of try to show it in its wired form as well. So this is how I brought in the 5 volts and just tied it to all 4 of those first pins. And then the window 1 up and down, so purple, blue, and then window 2 up and down, orange, yellow, and then ground. I just ground them both together. I wanted to use some cool switches that have LED rings in them for my up and my down, and they didn't come with these connectors on here. I had to solder them on there, and then I had to make sure that the nut could go past that before committing completely to doing this whole thing. But that's basically it wired up to the control part of it, and I just have to give the 12 volts in and then run it out to each window. So that should be fairly simple. I'll show that here in a sec. Okay, I've got a 12 volt source feeding my electronics. Kind of hard to see this, but feeding my electronics 12 volts, and then another 12 volts going into here to supply the board. Reason I separate them because I don't want my electronics getting pulled down by the other things. So separate wires. These will be much bigger wires when I'm actually running the window. So now I can go forward and reverse. It's a bi-directional diode. So my up and then my down. And then of course it'll do the same thing with the other two wires on the other motor. I'll show you that. Okay, we have down, up. If you can see that. So the PWM is just basically all the time on, and it doesn't care. It's just on. It's just going to give me full speed on the motor, and it'll go up and down as fast as it would if it was a normal switch, but it's doing it through this. So on the back side of this board, I have my voltage regulator circuitry. Basically 12 volts comes in on this line and gets converted to 5 volts that goes out to the, out to the board. And then the switches are just ground and the output. So that'll just go to the 1, 2, 3, 4 for up, down, left, or up, down for the two different windows. And then the lights will light up with the 12 volts coming to here that will light up the LED by using the red and the black wires here. So that's just going to be turned on with my clearance lights so that they are visible at nighttime. I know it seems like an awful lot of real estate between here and here. That is actually on purpose because I want to eventually put an Arduino here to liaison between the button presses and the outputs so that I can run a routine that would be, up, up, all the way up. Right? So it'd be just as long as you don't hold it for, as long as you don't double tap it, it'll just operate like a normal window. But if you double tap it, it'll go all the way up. And if you double tap, it'll go all the way down. Or if you're just doing single pulses, as long as you don't do it faster than like a half a second, you should be able to traverse up and down. I just haven't figured out the code yet, so I wanted to leave some space on the board for the future. All right, so this is the original switches that I got from Amazon that didn't work out so well. I went ahead and just cut the left and, let's see, brown ones are one side, green and blue are the other side. So just cut those and added those to the two outputs and then put the power in the ground that was feeding that to the input of that board. Also tied my voltage regulator board into there so that I could run my 5 volt accessories. So anyway, let's see if it works. Well, that was certainly a lot smoother than the last setup. I still got everything from Amazon. But the switches are a nice quality switch. The board is good for driving, the robot motors. I think up to like 7 amps. Don't think these windows even come close to that. Anyway, if you have stayed this long, thank you. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button. And if you're finding my channel interesting and want to see more, please subscribe. If you want to see videos that I've done on other things, you can go here or you can go here. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. And I just hope you guys are gaining some value out of my content. I do this just for fun. Catch you guys later.